maybe some of us might do, but many people are dying young today. We just buried somebody just a few days ago here. He was about 37 years old. You know, just sat at home with the father. He felt some pain in his chest and he just went into another room. So father followed him into the next room thinking, what's wrong with my son? Then he goes upstairs, lies on the bed, and by the time the father gets to his bed, he's already passed away. So I'm a married man with about 3 young children as well, and he was a lecturer at one of the colleges. So the thing is, we don't know how long we have left to live. Because if you go to the graves, you see all the different ages on the graves. Doesn't say they're not all old people, are they? When you go and look at the gravestone and see the ages, some are babies, some are infants, some are teenagers, some are old people, middle-aged old people, so different age groups. We don't know when our time is destined for. So while we are here, what we should do is try to make the most of it. For example, if you died, Allah forgives us. Alhamdulillah, it's really good. But imagine you died, Allah forgives you and put you into the highest heaven, Jannatul Firdaus. How happy would you become? But for that, you have to do your part as well. Whatever little you can do, you have to do your part. So when somebody says that you love somebody, you say to your parents, I love somebody, yeah? But when it comes to action, when your parents tell you to do something, you don't do it. So is that true love? Where does true love come from? True love comes from actions. So when you say you love Allah, when you say you love the Prophet ﷺ, but the actions are not followed by that claim of love. You say you love Allah, but you do opposite to what Allah subhanahu has told you to do. We claim that we love the Prophet ﷺ, but when it comes to performing even the smallest sunnah, we become lazy. You know, it's too difficult, it's too hard, and we don't do it. We don't remember the Prophet ﷺ. On the Day of Judgment that I mentioned last week, that the Prophet ﷺ, everybody will say, oh, they're standing in front of Allah and they'll say, oh Allah, take my father, take my mother, take my children, take my wife, take them all. In compensation that you put me to paradise. So they giving their children everything, they're not bothered. And the Prophet ﷺ will be the only person who will come and say, oh Allah, I'm not asking for myself, no, I'm asking for my daughters. Oh Allah, I'm asking about my ummah. So even then the Prophet ﷺ is asking about the ummah. So as we mentioned, that while we're here on earth, while we were first in a place in the Alam al-Arwah, the world of the spirits, and then from there we came here. So while we are residing here, this is a temporal world, this is like a journey. Imagine you're going to London and you stop at a service station, and at the service station you get your phone out and you start ordering things from Amazon. You know what I mean? Let's get the sofas in, let's get the cupboards in, the drawers, the clothes and everything. And somebody would say, are you crazy? You know, you're just going on your way to London, but you're ordering all of this stuff from Amazon and you're getting it delivered to a service station. So they'll think you're mentally ill. But we're doing exactly the same thing. We're on a journey to the hereafter. So the next step of our journey is the grave. And then the Day of Judgment, which is another journey, and then heaven or hell, whichever Allah wants to put us in. So we're going on a journey, but what we're doing, we hoarding so much stuff, like we think that this world is our only world and this is where we're going to live forever. So we buy things, you know, we don't even need things, and we just buy. It makes us, especially, our sisters, it makes them happy. When they buy something, it makes them happy. The brothers are not far off, but everybody's buying something from Amazon. That's why Amazon is ticking, isn't it? It's so busy. Why is it so busy and making so much profit? Because it's us that are buying stuff. But we're buying it and we're keeping it, knowing full well that we're going to die one day and we're going to go into the grave, and none of these things that we have is not going to come with us. So imagine you had 1 million years of life, 1 million years of life, and you had £1 billion. 1 million years of life, £1 billion. But in the end, that 1 million years of life will come to an end. Like this 6 weeks holiday, school holidays, the children are saying, oh, it's already over, we have to go back to school, I don't want to go to school. It goes really fast. And your life will be the same. Your life will go just as fast. You'll be in primary school and you'll be an adult, and you'll still remember the thoughts of your primary school that it's gone that fast. Hazrat Nuh al-Islam had over 900 years of life. And when somebody asks Hazrat Nuh al-Islam, how did it feel that Allah gave you such a long life? How did it feel? He says, imagine a small room and there's 2 doors in that room. So imagine going through the front door and coming out to the back door in a small room. That's how the 900 years of life felt like. That's how quick. And even in the Quran, it's Surah Kahf is mentioned that, that the angels will ask the people in the grave, how did it feel? They say, the life felt like a day or a part of a day. That's how the life felt like. So be wise and start doing things that, give you least effort but maximum benefit. And this is what we're going to talk about. When Hazrat Anas radiallahu anhu reported, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam met Hazrat Abu Dharr Ghaffari radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And the Prophet sallallahu said, "Oh Abu Dharr, shall I tell you of 2 qualities that are easy on your back and heavier on the scales of good than others? So shall I tell you something which is easy to do, but on the mizan, on the scales, it will be very, very heavy?" So Abu Dharr Ghafari, obviously, he's going to be very happy. The Messenger sallallahu is giving me something. So he said, of course, O Messenger of Allah, the Prophet sallallahu said, you must have good character and observe a long period of silence. So if you got nothing good to say, remain quiet. If you're giving dawah, that's a different country. If you're giving dawah to somebody, but if you got nothing good to say, you're chilling with your mates and stuff like that, and you feel that you have to say something, you just remain quiet. And good character is that you do good to others. For example, when you meet somebody, you leave them in such a state that they are happy. So if they have no hope, you give them hope. If they're struggling with anything, you help them, or at least give them good nasiyah or motivation so that they can overcome their problem. And Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, he loved people that, knocked on his door for help, That was one of the things he loved. And when he helped the person, he was even more happier. Well, as our situation is, somebody gives a phone call, somebody's feeling a bit down, or somebody wants some kind of help, we make excuses. So, brother, I've got this thing on, I've got that thing on, or brother, I'm busy with the family. So let's try and help people, because they are sent by Allah to you. Who's put the thought in their mind to come to this person? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the thought in that person's mind. Go to this, go to Imran, go to Shabbir, go to this person, go to that person. So now this person is bringing you, but we are rejecting to help him. We are rejecting that. So then we talked about the tongue. The tongue is very, very dangerous. Very small, but very dangerous. This alone, the tongue alone can take a person into the hellfire. Even one action can take a person to the hellfire of the tongue. There's many actions of the tongue, but even one, which is backbiting. Now, our tongues waggle day in, day out. We need to say something about somebody else. Our lives are so boring that we need to talk about somebody else. Isn't that the case? Or this person did this person did that, and at the same time you're giving all your rewards to him. And on the day of judgment, imagine that there'll be rows of people, and they will say, "Oh Allah, this person has wronged me. He said this about me behind my back." Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take. So this person has a mountain full of good deeds. So he'll take his good deeds and give it to this person. And then another person will come, and again, the deeds are passed on. Eventually, this person won't have anything left. And they say, Allah, he hasn't got any good deeds. Now, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the nation will say, okay, so take his bad deeds. So his bad deeds will be put upon him. So now this person lost all his good deeds, and all the bad deeds are being placed upon his shoulder, and then he'll be dragged into the hellfire. Just by this tongue, just talking about somebody behind them. So backbiting is you say something behind somebody's back which is true. And if it's not true, then it's slandering, which is even a bigger sin. So this is the reason why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this particular hadith to Hazrat Abu Dhar to become silent, to protect. Why do you become silent? Is to protect your good deeds. Because we can't control our mind, are not strong enough to control the tongue. It just waggles, it just says, it sees and it says. Isn't that the case? We see and we say, we speak. We see and we speak. And before we know it, we've accumulated a lot of bad deeds over and over and over again. So, one of the things that was mentioned last week was there's 20 points which was mentioned to the teacher. There's 20 occasions it was mentioned when to remain silent. So inshallah, I've got about 11 minutes, and I can't probably go in detail, but I'll just quickly go through the points as well. So because I've been trying to get through these points since last week, but because the time is so close together, it's very difficult. So one is when you're angry, and then the other person is angry, remain silent. So anger is like a fuel. We have petrol and diesel, but anger is like jet fuel. It does a lot of damage. People kill each other in a fit state of anger. People in prisons because of anger issues. So if somebody behaves badly towards you, what does it teach you? If somebody is angry at you, anger teaches you patience, doesn't it? So if nobody ever got angry at you, you'd never learn patience. So anger teaches you patience, so learn to be patient. And control your mind. So beforehand, if you know, for example, that I'm going to go home, I've come home late or whatever, I'm supposed to be at home at a certain time. My wife is going to get angry at me, So train your mind beforehand that my wife is going to get angry at me. So I'm already ready and prepared for the swords, the guns, the arrows, everything. I'm ready. So it might be your wife, it might be your brother. So if your mind knows beforehand what to expect, then it's ready, isn't it? So when you go home and you know your wife, and you say, "Hey, sorry, blah, 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 blah. Sorry," because you already know. But if you're not prepared and you go home, what happens? Straight away, you're going to get angry back. So she's got jet fuel, and you got jet fuel as well. And you just like fighting each other. And one of the things, arguments that has been mentioned by the teacher and the mashayikh that arguments takes the barakah out of the house. And when you argue in the house, it takes away the barakah and the blessings from the house. So always remember that. Another thing is the shaitan that controls the person when he's angry. The shaitan is there, he's controlling this person, he's controlling that person. Now the shaitan's happy, laughing, he's thinking that, oh yeah, what can I do with these people? I've got it's like, a dog lead. You put around a dog, and when you take it for a walk, you just control it here, there, everywhere. So exactly the same thing happens to the shaitan is controlling us because we're in that state of anger. So if you're angry, who you should be angry at? You should be angry at the shaitan himself. You should be angry at your nafs. You should be thinking that, okay, I've done something wrong today, or I missed a prayer today, I've not done my zikr today, I've not picked up my Quran today, okay, I'm going to do more, I'm going to get angry at the nafs, and I'm going to do more instead. So when the shaitan attacks you, what are you going to do? Sit down and lie down? No, you get up and you do whatever you were doing, you do more. Then shaitan will say, every time I attack him, he'll do more. Then he'll leave you alone. The whisperings will go away, it'll disappear. The more he attacks you, the more you do good, the more he's not going to attack you. What is the power of the shaitan? Shaitan, he can't grab hold of you and take you here, there and everywhere. He doesn't have that control. So the shaitan, the only control he has, he gives an invitation. So he invites you, he whispers. For example, right, your friend, one friend says, oh, let's go for a meal. The other friend says, let's go and play football. And they're both giving you an invitation. And it's your choice. The freedom of will that Allah has given you, it's your choice whether you want to choose this person to go out for a meal or this person to go and play football. You can't do both, you're going to pick either one. So the shaitan does the same thing. He whispers evil into your mind and says, let's go and do haram. And then the angels are sending you good thoughts. Let's go and do good. So it's your choice, isn't it? Your choice, what do you want to do? And that's what the shaitan has. So next time a thought comes in your mind, just think, okay, it's the shaitan. He's whispering, and I should make the choice. So number 2, if what you're about to say will not provide any benefit or goodness to people. So if you can't provide worldly benefit or Islamic benefit, then remain silent. If you can't help somebody, whether it's a worldly thing or Islamic thing, then remain silent, don't say anything. So don't think that you have to say, so if you start with a group of friends, don't think you have to contribute. You can just sit there and listen. Doesn't mean, okay, I feel a bit odd, I need to say something. Or when you start, say you're going with a friend, you're driving in a car, and suddenly what happens is, he's not saying anything, he's not saying anything, there's an eerie silence, and then you feel that, oh, I need to say something. And then the moment you say something, what happens next? And then it goes to backbiting, then it goes to suspicion, then it goes to slandering, and it just goes on and on. And on this journey, it would have been better if you had remained silent and protected your good deeds. So number 3, if what you're about to say will create negativity and harm a relationship between people, then remain silent. Because the Prophet ﷺ says, whoever breaks the bond of kinship will not enter into paradise. So this is very, very important. Breaking ties. This is displeased by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever the other person has done, I'm sure, there's a way you can mend that relationship. Whatever he has done, if you forgive the person, then Allah will give you something better in return. Allah will give you something better in return. So remember that, do not cut ties, because there's so many verses in the Quran and Hadith, we can't go through them all, but this is one very, very important, do not cut ties. Because it's mentioned that even your prayers and your du'as won't get accepted because of it. And if you got a real issue, then see one of the brothers after, his brother Siraj there, he'll take names, and then you can speak to one of the teachers as well in regards to how to overcome your issue in regards to that. So number 4, someone is behaving foolishly by irritating or taunting you. So when somebody is annoying you, you get taunted and stuff like this, just be patient. This teaches you patience. Just be patient. Allah will reward you in return. Allah will reward you in return, inshallah. Inna Allah ma'as sabirin. Allah is with the ones who are patient. So number 5, if what you're about to say will harm the honor, the life or the wealth of the person. So if whatever you're going to say is going to harm the honor of the person, remain silent. If you know it's going to slip out, then just stay silent. Because this can lead to tale bearing. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed by a grave and said the occupants in the grave are being tormented. So two people in 2 separate graves were being tormented. And they weren't big sins. So one of them carried tails and the other did not keep himself safe from being tainted by urine. So when he went to the toilet, he wasn't very careful with that. And the other one, he'll go to another person and say, I've heard this about this person. He's like causing friction between people. Or did you know this person said this about you? These things will give punishment in the grave. So then he called for a fresh twig and split in 2 parts. So he got a twig and split into and planted them on each of the grave. And then he said, perhaps their punishment may be lessened as long as these twigs remain fresh. So even then the Prophet ﷺ had so much mercy to help the people who are getting punished in the grave. So don't do this. If what you're going to say is going to harm the honor, the life or the wealth of the person, remains silent. If you do not have any evidence, number 6, proof of what you're saying, remain silent. Don't just say, I think it's like this, I think it's like that. It can fall into, like I mentioned, slandering or backbiting, or Islamically, if you mention something from Hadith and the Quran, which is wrong, is going to be very, very detrimental without proof. So, there was a story on the night of Mi'raj of people getting punished in regards to slandering, but you don't have much time. So if a person of authority speaking, teacher, policeman, judge, they're telling you for your own benefit. Whatever they're telling you, you don't need to become arrogant. You just remain patient and listen to what they're saying. Because they are qualified. So so for example, say you go to a car mechanic, and he's repairing your car, and you put a fault out. You don't have a knowledge, you're not a car mechanic. How can you tell a car mechanic, this is how it should be? How can you tell a judge or a lawyer that this is how it should be? Because you're not qualified to say it. So until you reach that level, then you can make, assessments. But at the moment, because they're the ones who are qualified, like, for example, somebody's at college or university and the teacher is lecturing and then they're trying to pull the faults out of the teacher. Or a doctor, we become, we diagnose ourselves, we become our own doctor. Or the doctor should have, or he's given me the wrong medicine, should have given me this, that, the other. Number 8, if a person who is elder, you're speaking, so father, mother, uncle, remain silent. If they're speaking to you, do not disrespect them. If you disrespect your parents, you'll never be successful in this world or the hereafter. So the route to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, first you have to make your parents happy. If you fail at the first hurdle, how will you make the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How will you follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How will you make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy? So that's the first thing, and which is proven by the ayahs of the Quran. So number 9, if you're not sure what to say, then remain quiet. So sometimes it might do more harm than good. So for example, advising somebody might come to you for advice and you're not sure on how to advise him, but then you advise him in the wrong way. And what can happen is, rather than him benefiting, you've given him the wrong advice and he can do the wrong things, and then it can harm him in the end. So if you're not sure, remain quiet or get that information for him from somebody who's qualified. Somebody's qualified, then give them that. So when somebody's going through anxiety issues, he's got mental health issues, and you've never worked in that field, and then you're giving advice to this person regarding his mental health. You're not qualified to give him advice. So find somebody else. Number 10, if you have said something to somebody, on more than one occasion, and it's not had an effect on this person, then remain silent. So what we tend to do is, for example, we're at home, we might say to our children, do this, or pray your namaz, or make your bed, tidy your room, over and over and over again, like a parrot, repeating ourselves, but they're not listening and it's not working. If it's not working, then you have to find another way. You know that they're not going to listen to you. Or, so for example, you're out giving dawah to somebody, you've spoken to somebody, you know this person over and over again, you're telling him the same thing, is not having an effect. So find a different route, find a different way, rather than, because you'll distance this person away from you. So inshallah, is it 10 past 8? Yeah, inshallah. So it's time for Maghrib now. So I went quite fast as well, but I only managed to get through 10. Inshallah, next time, if Allah gives me life, then I'll do another 10 as well, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Jazakallah to Ustadh Shabbir Hassn for this very beneficial and insightful nasiyah. This is just on one organ. To show us how much depth there is just in one organ. Imagine you can save yourself from doing the dangers of this organ, and you can also benefit yourself with this organ, and you can make your tongue like the prophetic. Now what's been delivered to you here is the prophetic model, the sunnah way of utilizing the tongue, and the bad ways you can use the tongue and how to refrain from them. Imagine all your organs can become like this. Imagine you can become the reflection of the sunnah in all your actions, with your hands, with your eyes, with your ears, with your tongue, with your feet. In every way you can reflect the sunnah. And if that's someone you want to become like, if you want to reflect that model in your own capacity, in your own way, then here we show you how to practically do that, step by step. Although we can show you one by one how to turn all your organs like the organs of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to your own capacity. So if that's something you want to do, you want to start that journey today, then inshallah after the Maghrib Salah and Dhikr, after the Maghrib and Dhikr, if you pass your name over to me, we can assign you to someone who can teach you that methodology. So now inshallah we're going to stop for Maghrib Salah. After Maghrib Salah will be Dhikr. After your sunnat, immediately after, if you could just pray the Masnoon Adhkar, someone will give the books out, individually pray them. So for a short while, just for like 5 minutes, and then we'll crack on with the Zikr after that. Jazakallah. So if you just want to quickly refresh and get into the safs, inshallah, I just want to recite that.